Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Is everybody awake? So we'll try it again. So the people that were there at the masjid last night passed the vibe check. You guys are failing the vibe check so far this morning. Let's try again. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. Allahu Akbar. It is an honor, a privilege, and a pleasure to be back in Knoxville, and particularly to address this auspicious gathering to reflect collectively on the treasures of the Quran, and specifically on the Quran as a message of liberation. And I want to walk through the doorway that my sister, Ustadha Zainab, opened for us, into an understanding, first of all, of where this talk is going to come from. It's going to be rooted in my study and analysis, both as a historian and as a seeker of knowledge, of the way that West African scholars specifically have mined the spiritual resources of the Quran in order to be at the forefront of struggles to establish justice and liberation in the world. If you get the opportunity to get a copy of the Walking Quran, and I didn't ask her to promote it, in part because academics don't make anything off of academic books. I get like 35 cents a book. You produce them because they're part of the process of the academic tenure process and because you want to spread knowledge. So I'm not promoting anything when I send you to the Walking Quran, but if you turn to chapter 3 of the Walking Quran, you will learn about anti-slavery movements led by West African Muslim Sufi scholars, and they were all Sufis. They were all people who were committed to the sciences of spiritual purification because they understood in an intrinsic sense that the Quran is a document that is designed to liberate human beings from the oppressors inside themselves, and through those acts of inner liberation, then liberating them from the oppressors in the world. That there is an organic and intrinsic relationship in the Quran between spirituality on the one hand and social justice on the other. And if you don't believe me, and if you say that this is just things that West African Sufis did, that this isn't, Quran, I will point you back to the Quran itself. We'll start with Surah Al-Hud. 120th ayah of the 11th chapter of the Quran. Allah says what we translate: all that we relate to you in the tales of the previous prophets, with it we fortify your heart. Now, what does this mean? What does God relate to us in the stories of the previous prophets? Well, read through the Qisas al-Anbiya, the tales of the prophets that are in the Quran. And as a historian, I love to draw people's attention to the fact that the bulk of the word count in the Quran is dedicated to qisas, to stories, to history, to fortify our heart, and we'll come back to the nature of the heart in just a moment. But where do we find those prophets when we study the Qisas al-Anbiya? Where do we find them, peace be upon them all? We always find them struggling against the principal form of oppression in their time. When we are introduced to Sayyidina Ibrahim, alayhi afdal salatu wassalam, where is he? Face to face with Nimrod, the most powerful tyrant and oppressor on the face of the earth in his time. When we meet Sayyidina Musa, alayhi salam, he is an infant in a basket being floated down the Nile River, the most powerful river on the face of the earth, to the most powerful tyrants on the face of the earth. And when we find him back at Pharaoh's court as a man with his brother Harun at his side, two are standing against the most powerful empire on the face of the earth and toppling it. Where do we find Sayyidina Isa? Where do we find Sayyidina Yahya, peace be upon them both? We find them being persecuted by the Roman Empire and speaking truth to power in the face of tyrants. Standing up to the fundamental forms of oppression in your time is the fundamental task in the world of anyone who would call themselves a believer. We find all of the prophets standing up against the principal oppression in their time because that's what makes them the people of God.